I was excitedly preparing for my much-anticipated road trip. The open road beckoned me, promising adventure and freedom. Little did I know what horrors awaited me on this journey. As I embarked on my solo drive, the sun began to set, casting long shadows on the desolate road ahead. The atmosphere grew eerie, and a sense of unease settled in my bones. But I shrugged it off as mere nerves, determined to make the most of the adventure. But then, as I continued driving, a dense fog rolled in, obscuring my vision. I could barely make out the road ahead, my headlights barely piercing the suffocating mist. Panic gripped my heart, but I pressed on, hoping to soon emerge from the eerie veil. Suddenly, my car sputtered and came to a halt. I cursed my bad luck as I realized I had run out of gas. With no civilization in sight, I knew I had no choice but to venture into the unknown in search of help. I stepped out of the car, the cold air biting at my skin. The silence was deafening, and I could feel eyes watching me from the shadows. Ignoring the growing sense of dread, I started walking along the desolate road, hoping to find a place to rest or a kind soul to lend a hand. After what felt like an eternity, I saw a dim light flickering in the distance. Filled with hope, I quickened my pace towards what I hoped would be salvation. But as I approached, the light vanished, leaving me in utter darkness. Fear consumed me as I realized I had stumbled upon an abandoned and haunted house. The atmosphere grew thick with an overwhelming sense of malevolence. The wind whispered haunting melodies, and the moonlight cast eerie shapes on the creaking wooden porch. Ignoring the warning signs, I pushed open the creaking door and entered the chilling darkness. The air grew heavy, and I could hear faint whispers echoing through the empty corridors. Shadows danced on the walls, each step I took reverberating with ominous echoes. As I explored the house, I stumbled upon a room filled with old photographs. My heart raced as I noticed that each photo showed a person, frozen in time, with terror etched on their faces. I could feel their despair seeping into my very soul. Suddenly, a chilling scream pierced the air, sending shivers down my spine. I turned around to see a figure lurking in the corner, its eyes glowing with a sense of light. Frozen in fear, I watched as it gradually approached, its grotesque features becoming clearer. With all the strength I could muster, I turned and ran as fast as my legs would carry me. The house seemed to come alive, its walls closing in on me, trapping me in its nightmarish grip. The darkness engulfed me, suffocating and consuming my every breath. I sprinted with all my might, my heart pounding in my chest, and refused to cast a backward glance. I drove relentlessly until the reassuring sight of a bustling road emerged before me. The haunting memories remained etched in my mind, a constant reminder to never venture back onto those desolate paths that concealed unspeakable terror. Driving down Route 66 in the dead of night, I could hear the wind howling and see the tree. As I continued on my journey, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, suffocating me. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as I tried to ignore the unease that was creeping up my spine. Streetlights flickered on and off, casting eerie shadows across the road. It felt as if I had entered a world filled with nightmares. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the distance, standing by the side of the road. My heart raced as I got closer, realizing it was a hitchhiker. Against my better judgment, I pulled over and rolled down the window. The hitchhiker's face was hidden in darkness, but I could make out a sinister smile in a low, raspy voice. He asked for a ride. Something about him sent a chill down my spine, yet I couldn't bring myself to refuse. I unlocked the passenger door and he climbed in, the stench of decay filling the car. As we drove on, the hitchhiker's presence became more unsettling. Shadows danced across his face, twisting his features into something grotesque. He spoke in riddles, his words sending shivers down my spine. I glanced at him from the corner of my eye, but his eyes never left the road ahead. The road seemed to stretch endlessly, leading us deeper into a world of darkness. Every turn, every mile passed, felt like a descent into madness. The hitchhiker's laughter echoed through the car, chilling me to the bone. I desperately searched for signs of civilization, any semblance of safety, but the road was empty and desolate. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the hitchhiker suddenly turned toward me, his eyes gleaming with a malevolent light, his voice filled with sinister satisfaction as he uttered, "Welcome to your life." In that moment, the car spun out of control, hurtling off the road and crashing into a tree. Darkness engulfed me, and when I finally regained consciousness, I found myself lying on the cold, deserted road. The car was nowhere to be seen. I stumbled to my feet, alone and disoriented. The wind whispered hauntingly, carrying fragments of the hitchhiker's laughter. Panic washed over me as I realized the nightmare was far from over. Lost in the darkness, I had no choice but to keep walking, praying for a glimmer of light to guide me back to safety. As I continued my journey on foot, fear gnawed at my sanity. Every rustle in the bushes, every distant howl of the wind sent shivers down my spine. The road seemed to stretch on forever, a never-ending nightmare. Days turned into nights, and nights turned into a twisted blur of terror. I encountered grotesque creatures, their unholy forms lurking in the shadows. They whispered dreadful secrets into my ear, tormenting me with visions of my worst fears come to life. But through it all, I clung to a sliver of hope, determined to escape this nightmare. I pushed my body to the limits, driven by sheer survival instinct, and finally, when I thought all hope was lost, a faint glimmer of light appeared. As I stumbled towards it, the darkness began to recede, and the nightmares faded away. I emerged from the nightmare, battered and scarred, but alive. The road ahead was filled with the warmth of the sun, and I knew that I had escaped the clutches of the horrors that had plagued me. But even as I drove away, the memories of that fateful night haunted me. The scars ran deep, a reminder of the terrors that lurked in the darkness. And as I looked back in the rearview mirror, I couldn't help but wonder if I had truly escaped, or if the nightmares would find me again one day.